we're thrilled to have you.
All right, very good. Is the governor here yet?
The governor's not here yet, but during.
And in some ways, that spirit of engagement and debate and intellectual excitement among the student body defined what it meant to be a City College student. And in my current job, I spend lots and lots of my time talking to older alumni who say that experience made them tougher, scrappier, more able to deal with people they met when they left City College. In fact, about 3 years ago, we were doing a program at the Jewish Museum downtown, a program about the relationship between City College and Jewish New York. And one of our great graduates, Vivian Gornick, was talking with a panel about their experiences in the classroom. And all of the other panelists were talking about how great their professors were, how wonderful the instruction was. And Vivian kind of shrugged and said, I didn't think my professors were that great. They were okay. But what made us smart was the alcoves, because we fought over everything. In fact, the film, maybe some of you have seen it, about the origins of the neoconservative movement is titled Debating the World. That's what it meant to be here. And so I say that because as a student, Senator Moynihan surely spent time in the alcoves, surely was part of a table, surely defended his positions. And that spirit of open, energetic, impassioned debate is one of the cornerstones of why we thought the Moynihan Center had an important place historically and in the future at City College. We are even now awaiting the arrival of another Moynihan alum. I gather you'll be hearing a lot about the Moynihan alumni over the course of the night, but our governor will be here shortly. Jumaane Williams, our public advocate, is slated to arrive. You can repeat that applause when he comes in the front door. And I want to repeat my great thanks and acknowledgement of Shelby White for her wise philanthropic leadership of this project. And of course, the entire Moynihan family, but most especially Ms. Moynihan. We were so honored to be present, and we will do everything in the power of this institution. It is a powerful institution to bring honor, more honor, to the name and reputation of your late husband. He meant so much to so many people that are here, and we're honored to be able to inaugurate the center. So, thank you for coming tonight. Welcome to City College and the Great Hall. It is now my tremendous honor to introduce my boss, the Chancellor of the City College of New York, Felix Matros Rodriguez. I'm a little unusual at CUNY. I've been at this college for 32 years, and I've done everything from assistant professor through to president. And the only person that makes me not unique is our current chancellor, who's pretty much done the same thing through the years. Professor, center director, community college president, senior college president, and he's got some current job right now. Oh yeah, my boss, the chancellor, Felix Matros Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, President Boudreau, for that introduction. And why don't we give a big round of applause to this wonderful leader. City College, there are many roles that you've played, and we are so happy to have you guiding City College and advancing projects like this Patrick Moynihan Center, which is very much part of, I know, the vision that you had since you've been in engaged as a political scientist here at the faculty and in your role at Colin Powell School and now as president. It is great to be back here at City College. I was with President Boudreaux here. We were a lot more casually dressed 2 weeks ago, welcoming the incoming class, the freshmen and the students that were coming to the Towers, which is the dorm here at City College for the beginning of the semester. And it's great to be back when classes begin with all that energy and all that vibrancy that the beginning of classes brings to the Totenberg and MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell, both of whom had the privilege of working as aides to Senator Moynihan and have been so much part of the work here at the center. I welcome my gratitude and my respect also to Liz Moynihan. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I hope that you feel proud about the work that is being done here and the legacy that it keeps of your husband's great work, not just in New York City, but in the entire United States. To the folks that are going to make things happen at the Moynihan Center, the Dean of the Colin Powell School, my good friend Andy Rich, who's over there, I think getting ready for the governor to arrive and on double duty. The executive director of the center, Professor Carlo Inversini Massetti. Why don't we give him a big round of applause? Leadership, and I know that later in the program we're going to acknowledge the many wonderful philanthropic partners that allow us to be able to give life to the programming in this center. I was told that they want to be acknowledged later, so I don't want to be seen disrespectful, but they asked me, let us thank them later, but I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a great friend, not just of this project. He always considered himself a City College man. So the creation of this center reunites him with his original alma mater, and we couldn't be more proud to claim him as one of our own. I also want to congratulate and welcome the 8th inaugural Moynihan Public Scholars, Leaders in Residence, and Postdoctoral Fellows. You are all an impressive and distinguished group with a wide diversity of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. I also want to congratulate the 28 members of the inaugural cohort of the undergraduate public service fellows. I'm excited about this new community within a community that you will all create together and you will all bring to the Powell School and to our university. All of our fellows and the Moynihan Center itself represent an important but often overlooked value of higher education. And it goes to one of the points that President Boudreaux was making earlier. Even as we fulfill our primary responsibility to provide students with opportunities for academic achievement and career success, we often talk about that great social mobility that the City University and City College uniquely.
And he looked at me and he says, "You're going to spend all that money to become a communist?" I said, "It's a science, Dad." He goes, "How are you going to support your family, leading strikes and burning tires?" And sure enough, I met the great Michael Harrington at Queens College, who was a mentor and made me read 2 volumes of Das Kapital. But this is a majestic place, Congressman Rangel. When I was a state senator, we landmarked West End Avenue. You New Yorkers on the crowd probably know West End Avenue. And I went to testify for the landmarking of that avenue from beginning to end. And they asked me, "Why do you want to landmark this street?" He says, "It feels like you're walking into a cathedral." And it actually did. It felt like you were looking for the altar somewhere down the line. But this is heaven here. This is a majestic place. This feels like walking into heaven. I remember one time I came and I sat right there, next to Charlie Rangel, who was an upstart assembly member, and I came to ask him for support. And the great Charlie Rangel looked at me, Governor, and said, young man, I will be with you for as long as I can. And then I sat next to him and I told him I never thought that I would, at this early stage, I would be sitting to the right of the Father, right here in heaven. But the great congressman is still part of this college with the Rangel Center, and now we have the Moynihan Center.
We're grateful that you took out some time in her day to be with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Governor Kathy Hochul to the stage.
Thank you, Michael. I've concluded that preparing a speech about Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan is far less stressful than preparing a speech for him, as a former person who wrote speeches. I see someone alumni. Oh, I've got a lot of stories. But this is an honor for me. An honor to be in a place as hallowed and as majestic as this. A place that has truly earned the mantle of the Moynihan Center. As I think about the students in this room, I ask myself, and you should be asking yourselves, who is the next Daniel Patrick Moynihan among you? Who will be that leader that transforms a nation in turmoil? Who will be that leader that is a giant among giants? Who is that leader who understands truly the nature of statesmanship? Because I lament the fact that this generation has not seen many visible examples of this in our time. Indeed, they've seen the opposite. They've seen assaults on our democracy, something that would have shocked those who served at a time when I was so blessed to be a staffer back in the 1980s. We didn't know it then, and I preceded Lawrence O'Donnell by just about a year. And you can blame my baby that was born that year because I couldn't keep the long hours while taking care of an infant that were required to be successful. But there are so many people like myself, influenced, inspired by this man, literally generations. There's 3 parts of the Moynihan story. I'm going to gather to talk about him, an annual event for his birthday. You get to understand how since the 1970s, this is an individual. Someday, if I work hard enough, I might be able to be a staffer for a senator someday. That was my entire life's dream. And when Senator Moynihan hired me at the age of 28 as an attorney on his staff, I was done, folks. I had achieved all my dreams. Now, the moral of this story is, dream a little bigger. Push yourselves. But that was the start. It was the start of me learning at the hands of the master, someone who'd already established himself. An early high school kid, loved politics. Took an hour bus ride by myself downtown Buffalo, put my 50 cents in the driver's hand and said, I'm going to Buffalo, I'm going to work on a campaign, I'm real important. I was 16 years old. But I helped him get elected in one sense. I don't think our paths crossed off, but I felt I was in the presence of greatness even then. But when he was elected to be a senator, I never dreamed that a few years later, after a few starts doing other things, I'd actually be able to join him on Capitol Hill. He changed my life in many ways. He reminded me of the power and nobility of public service, the purity of it. When it's done right, it changes policies. You heard the Congressman, Adriano Espaillat. And I want to acknowledge him today because would have been the first time you didn't hit me up for money for the 2nd Avenue subway. You did not disappoint me. You did not disappoint me. Listen, he's looking at me, $7 billion. We can do this, right, Governor? Always a great champion. I thank him. I thank other people who's inspired me. Charlie Rangel. When I was elected to Congress in a race I was not supposed to win, everybody said she can't win in upstate New York, it's all Republican up there. Well, I was from there. I knew how they thought. I knew it was important to them. When I was elected in that unexpected election, I came and Charlie Rangel was the dean. And when he embraced me and told me I'm now part of the family, I just realized I'd just been a staffer for Senator Moynihan, and now I'm a member of Congress. I felt the weight of Senator Moynihan on my shoulders, because I could not disappoint him, even after he passed. I knew I must carry on like a true disciple of Senator Moynihan, as many of his staffers were and became. So that's what I feel, the weight of responsibility on my shoulders, to live like he did, to challenge the status quo and say, this is not good enough, this is the greatest country in the world, why aren't we doing better? Why can't we be changing the outcomes in our cities after all these years of pointing out the challenges back decades and decades ago? Are we getting any better? Are we pushing ourselves? Are we becoming that great nation we always had potential to be? You know the questions. Many are still unanswered. But I do know one thing he taught me that I carry today as well. What it's like to collaborate. He really was a statesman at his finest, but collaboration, what does that look like? Well, when I was working in 1986, we had an immigration problem. People coming across the border. Didn't know where they should go, they were not legal, they couldn't work. Sound familiar? Sure does. Senator Moynihan designated me to work with other Democrats, that's not hard, but to work with Republicans, Republican staffers, House, Senate, Democrat, Republican. Can you imagine this scenario? And the staffers worked long hours. We ate lots of pizza, day after day, to dawn. We were working so hard because in the next room, the senators and the congressmen were counting on us to come up with recommendations and to work with them. Too timid to try, too timid to challenge, too timid to push ourselves. I will choose not to be among those timid souls. Senator Moynihan would be disappointed if I were. But he has had a remarkable life, starting with nothing. When you met him later, you just assumed he came from great wealth and prestige and prominence, because look how he behaved. He used to shine shoes in Hell's Kitchen, so lug around bags of potatoes. And you know what changed his life? This institution changed his life. It gave him a chance to understand what formal education was all like, to push himself, to see other people who wanted to make themselves better by showing up in a classroom. That changed his life, otherwise he could have been a longshoreman the rest of his life. Who the nation listens to every single night, at least the smart ones do. To find out insights, a different way of looking at things. He learned. Polly Schomburg, she's making a profound difference in our nation's capital. Sorry to lose Polly, but look what she's doing, working with President Biden, bringing billions of dollars of infrastructure money like Senator Moynihan used to do, and bringing it out to communities that have been starved for so long, that have basic services provided.
In part as a way of articulating some of the core ideals and goals that animated, but also as a way of acknowledging and thanking some of the key people and institutions that have helped make it possible. The original idea to create a new academic center dedicated to honoring the legacy of the late senator from New York, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, at City College, came from the Leon Levy Foundation, and in particular from two of its current trustees, both of whom had a close relationship with the senator and whose friendship with each other remains at the heart of the whole endeavor. Elizabeth Moynihan and Shelby White were here tonight.
Dream come true for me as an American history major, as an urban transportation buff, and as someone who had a World War II veteran father who rose from poverty in Rochester and was proud of his own intellectual accomplishments, much like Senator Moynihan. And little did I realize how profound the experience of working for Senator Moynihan would be for me, and how much it would translate into my career as a high-ranking official at the U.S. Department of Transportation and as this city's Transportation Commissioner for 7 years. Back when I started with Senator Moynihan, the Farley Post Office project was really mostly just a gleam in his eye. But like so many of his ideas, it eventually came to pass. And some of you who worked for him know Senator Moynihan had a great quote when you met with setbacks. He would always say, "This work is not for the short-winded." And I would say, remember that. It's important in public policy. So I have to say how much I love dedicating this center to the Senator. It is a wonderful tribute to him and, of course, to his beloved wife, Liz Moynihan, his partner in all things. And I think, as we've heard, and as many of you in this room know, I could just give the list of everything Senator Moynihan is: thinker, teacher, historian, diplomat, writer, politician, practitioner, grand theorist. He had an ability to see trends and patterns and the bigger picture in so many things, from healthcare costs to the breakup of the Soviet Union. As a staffer, we found him hilarious, erudite, intellectually playful, and truly full of surprises. And as you heard from the governor, I particularly loved his collegiality and his bipartisanship in the Senate. I really learned that as his need. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to learn.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me one last time welcoming Lawrence O'Donnell.
He used the word hilarious to describe him, because that is the way we of the Moynihan alumni saw him. It is not a common public image of his. One day, a few months into my first tour of service, which was in the Moynihan campaign of 1988, where Liz Moynihan was the campaign manager, delivering 67% of the vote in the state of New York. One day, apropos nothing, as can happen with Liz, she said to me, "You know why I married Pat? You know why I married Pat? Because he's so funny." And at that point, he was still more intimidating to me than he was funny. But 6 months later, I got it. He would be so happy that his dear friend Shelby White helped make all of this happen.